you. So what is your definition of flexible? If you feel you're taking advantage of, that could be inner work, or it could be you have unrealistic expectations. So what does your job description say? What did you agree to in the beginning? How much is your family giving you as opposed to taking from you? All those things come into play. It's not one set answer. You know, we all talk about the give and take, but if you're the one always giving, then it's not give and take, and then it's just take.
Right.
So you have to look at all those things. But I think the litmus test is how comfortable are you? If you're feeling that you're being taken advantage of, either you need to do inner work and align your expectations with your job, or you need to do some outer work, which is to have conversations and set some boundaries with your family. It doesn't have, you don't have to choose one or the other. You don't have to choose, I'm completely flexible or I have boundaries. They exist perfectly well together. So what I do with families when they ask me to do something completely outside my job description, I will do it the first time. So, oh, by the way, grandma's coming. Can you change the sheets in the guest bedroom, wash them, and put them back on? Well, that's not part of my normal job, but hey, grandma's coming. I like grandma. The housekeeper's on vacation, so I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to solve the problem in advance. So then I'm going to have a conversation about what are we going to do? Can we get some advance notice next time grandma's coming? I'm going to buy a second set of sheets and put them in the, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you problem solve, and so it doesn't keep coming up over and over again.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
that's what I would say. So it's not a set answer, Meg. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Hello to everyone who has come in since we started talking. I have another question. When you said set the boundaries, it starts from the beginning at the interview. When you set those boundaries, if they give you a contract, because I always take a contract with me, a sample contract, and I always tell the parents it's not written in stone because everything in this contract may not apply to our situation, but it's a foundation for us to start. But several times I have been given a contract and I didn't totally agree with it. And I remember the first one I was given, I just kind of gave in, signed it right there on the spot because they were looking at me like, okay, we're waiting. Hello. If you want this job, then you need to sign this. And it worked out great, but I was so nervous and I was like, okay, I really want this job, but I don't agree with clause A, B, and C. A part of A and part of B I can do, but C, no, I don't want to do that. And as I got to know them, another child, a cousin came to live with them, and we ended up changing parts of the contract. So that's when I kind of slid it right in there. I was like, okay, this is your project. You better go for it now. But I think if we start at the beginning, setting the expectations, would that help the no that comes later?
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Phil used to say this, and that's how old I am. I used to watch Dr. Phil. But you teach people how to treat you. So if you're uncomfortable with the part of the contract, you can just simply say that. And remember, just use I statements. People go, how do I say that in a respectful way? If you use I statements, it's always going to be respectful because you're bringing it back to you. So there's a couple of things that I had questions about, and I want to make sure that we're starting off on the right foot because I want to do an amazing job for you. And that means that I need clear expectations and that we're both comfortable with what we're agreeing to. So can we review this or can we talk about this? So it's not, oh, I think you're being unfair in this part of the contract. No, that's a you statement. We don't do those. I need more information. I need clarity. I need to talk about this. I need to share what I'm feeling or thinking about this. It's all about the I statement. And then talk about it. And you may find that once they explain it a little bit more, you're fine with the clause. Or they may think, oh, my lawyer just told me to throw that in and I don't care about it at all. You'd be amazed how a lot of things can just be fixed very, very quickly if you talk about them. But yes, be transparent from the beginning and don't agree to things that you're not willing to do because then you're just going to get bitter really fast.
So true. So true. So,
And there's nothing worse than a bitter nanny, right?
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No, there is worse than a bitter
That's
nanny.
a whole other conversation, I think.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation, so we won't get to the bitter nanny.
Yeah.
Because I have found that it is hard for me to leave a family because of children, even if I don't get along, even if I see things that the parents are doing with the children, and I'm thinking to myself, and I cringe every time they do it. And I'm like, oh, please don't hurt yourself, please, oh, please, oh, please. And I have, and the children look at me like, I know you don't want me to do this. I know you don't allow me to do this, but mommy's here now, and I get to do what I want to do. And I'm like, please, please, please. And I just kind of give them that look like, okay. So it's hard to leave because I just sometimes it's like, okay, if I don't stay, what's gonna happen to these kids? And it just eats away at my heart. And
I know.
the giving part of me says you need to stay. And I start listening to that part of my brain instead of the part that says this is not a healthy situation for you, because you're going to stress yourself out every day, every time they do something that you know is knowingly putting those children in danger. But they're first time parents, they don't know. So how that situation, how do you let it go to the point where you can just tell yourself?
Yeah, again, it's all so much internal work. I tell you, being a nanny really requires you to be your best self. It really requires you to do that personal development like a lot of other jobs don't. So it goes back to, you have to remember that they're not your kids. As hard as that is, they're not your children. And if you are in a job where you're unhappy and you're bitter and you're just unhappy, you're not bringing your best nanny self to that job. And both those kids and those parents deserve your best self. So if you can't be your best self on a consistent basis, I mean, we all have days where we suck, let's be honest. But if you can't be your best self on a good majority of the days, then you should not be in that job, because you're not doing those kids a service. It's kind of like when people talk about divorce. And people say, oh, I'm going to stay together for the kids. Most of us will be like, oh, don't do that, because we know 2 unhappy parents does not make a happy family.
Right.
It's the same thing with you and your employer. An unhappy nanny and an unhappy employer does not help those kids. So that's how I often frame it. And when I'm talking to families, I frame it around the kids. So I want to talk about this because, again, I want to show up in my best self, because that's what your kids deserve and that's what you deserve. To do that, I need to do A, B, and C. And so that's a great introduction. Like if you're asking for time off, or a lot of the things that we ask for, it's like, how do we do this? You want to show up as your best self. And parents get that because they want you to show up as your best self, taking care of their kids.
Yes, definitely your best self. Okay, if you all have any questions, please start typing now, because there is a delay. You'll probably see them before I do, Lora.
Oh, yeah, I can't see the questions at all. No, I'm blind as a bat.
Oh, that's why I have on these. These are my readers. Okay. Lucretia says, my mom boss and dad boss often don't say thank you and please. I have been almost 9 months with them. They just have 1 kid. How can I talk about the topic? They are good people. They usually do. Wait a minute. They're good people. They usually do it mostly in text. Okay.
Oh, in text, yeah. So this really, if anybody hasn't read the love languages, I would come down to this. This really is a personal thing. And I'm going to use Sue and I as an example, Sue Downing. So Sue Downing really needs affirmation. She needs acknowledgement. That is part of her, who she is. It's her DNA. So she has learned through all these years that that's what she needs. I don't care. My love language is money. So if you give me a really nice bonus at the end of the year, you don't really have to say thank you throughout. I'm good. I'm okay. So you have to know yourself. Angela's like, what?
I've read the love
Seriously,
languages.
a good bonus goes a
I was
really
like,
long way,
that's not
okay?
a love language.
It is. I'll admit it, there's nothing wrong with it. Um,
Now I got you going.
so you have to know yourself. And so if you really need that to be happy, then you have to ask for it. So if you really need the please and the thank you, you can just say, you know what? I feel like sometimes I work in a bubble and I don't know how, again, it's I statement. I don't really know how I'm doing. And I'd like to check in with you, but I know that's also really time consuming. So what I would really like or what would be really helpful for me is if, once a week or once a month or whatever, if you see something that I'm doing well or you appreciate something I'm doing, if you would just give me a quick thank you. I know it seems small to you and probably pretty silly, but it means a lot to me. Now that's hard to do. Asking for what you need is incredibly hard to do, but it is the very best way to get what you need. Because the other person, of course, they appreciate you and they love you and they do all those things. They just don't think about saying it. So you're not only modeling for your kid that you should ask for what you need, you're modeling for those parents too and saying, this is what I need. But I will admit, everybody's like, oh, I can just hear all the heads shaking right now. I could never, ever, ever do that. Asking for what you need is an advanced skill, but I'm telling you, it's what we teach our kids to do every day.
Yes.
Don't mind, just ask for what you want, right?
I always say, use your words or use your big boy or big girl words.
Yeah.
So you have them, and then
exactly.
It's like, okay, use your words. What do you mean?
If you're teaching your kids to do that, and if you run up against the wall and think, oh, I can't do that, again, why not? You're teaching your kids to do that, so why is it okay for your kids to ask for what they want, but it's not okay for you to ask for what you want?
That is so true.
And again, you're not saying to the parents, I feel that you're very unappreciative. I need for you to tell me thank you. No, you're saying, this is what I need. Regardless, it's not about you, it's about me. So, and I can guarantee you, if you learn how to do that, your love relationships and your friendships will be way better.
Yes, they will. Lucretia said, I said all the time, my pleasure, thank you, gladly. But sometimes it may be just a personality thing.
Yeah.
To say please and thank you. I mean, I know my husband says please and thank you after I, started reminding him, because he's military and he was an officer in the military, and I barked an order, you expected to do it. No please, no thank you. That's what and that's what he did for so long in his life, that he becomes a part of your DNA, and you don't think saying please and thank you. And I remember saying one time to him, he said, I need so-and-so. I say, and how do you propose to get that? And he's like, pass it to me. I said, excuse me? And I'm like, he's like, don't talk to me like I'm one of those kids. And I'm like, I said, all I'm asking for is a please and a thank you. It took that one time. And he realized what I was getting at and the message. He said, I don't mean to sound like, because I call him the general sometimes when he gets upset. I said, okay, general. And he's like, okay. And that just kind of calms him down. He knows he's gone too far. So it's those little words, that the key words that you may say, or the little trigger words that will produce a please and produce a thank you. We always tell our kids, what's the magic word?
Right.
And find a trigger word. That's what I've done. I found a trigger word, but it's much easier to do it with my husband, because we're married.
Right.
The vested interest I have in my husband and that I have in my job is like two different relationships. And it's like Meg say, how you found that balance without sounding negatively?